Here this evening. We have several things to discuss, and we'll begin with the approval of our minutes. I believe Joe Gurley.
Mr. Chairman, I've read the minutes and move that they be approved without reading.
Have a motion to approve those minutes. Have a second?
Second.
Have several seconds. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. Moving to item 2, you'll notice it says Purple Heart parking spot discussion. The last commission meeting, the resolution was approved that Commissioner Rather brought to us, and I think that's very important that Rutherford County now is a Purple Heart county, and I think that was very good to do that. I mentioned at that meeting that we need a parking space, that if Jim and Nix can do that, surely the county can do that too. So I think at this meeting right here, we can do that to send that on. And whenever I make a promise, I attempt to do it. And sticking in my mailbox this afternoon when I got home from another meeting, we now have your meetings, Commissioner Rather. We have our signs. We have 2 of these, if you really want to know. There are 2 that come with this. So these are heavy-duty signs that can go up here on the square, on the inner circle somewhere when we designate those by your crew, Mayor. And I think I'm going to send this back to Commissioner Rather to make a motion to have these taken care of.
Chairman, unless I zoned out, I don't think I made that resolution.
Well, you read it the other night, I know, but didn't you?
I read one for the dispatchers.
Yeah.
However, there was discussion about one, and we got to looking at, or somebody talked about the numbers. Mm-hmm. We need more than one.
You've got 2. You've got 2.
All right. So I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve that 2 spots for now in the courthouse grounds.
All right, we have a motion to have these signs placed upon the inner circle of the courthouse square.
I'll second that.
We have that second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So, Mayor, you got to bring your post hole diggers or whatever you need to get that in taken care of.
Or get them installed quickly.
Good deal. All right, number 3 is Recovery Court Report. Good evening.
Here's the Recovery Court Report for July. We have 144 current participants, 6 new came in July, 2 successfully completed the program, and we had 2 terminations or voluntary withdrawals. If there are any questions on the report, I'd be happy to try to answer those.
I'm kind of like somebody mentioned last time, instead of saying termination for somebody that's completed the course, let's use graduation or a graduate, maybe instead of termination.
We had 2 successful completions and 2 actual terminations.
Right, and I understand that, but a little confusing for me when you say termination and it's actually somebody that completed though. But I haven't said all that. I'll make a motion to approve your report.
Motion been made to approve. Commissioner P. Second. Commissioner Phillips. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Your report is approved. Thank you. Probation Report.
Hello. All right. For our probation report for the month of July, we closed out 126 cases, which was equivalent to 113 people. We currently supervise in the month of July 1,136 people. In the month of July, we had 61 people in our programs. We had 13 of those individuals complete the programs, and then we had 9 unsuccessfully discharged from the programs. In regards to our olive branch, we were able to help 5 individuals. 4 of those 5 individuals were homeless, and then one of those individuals had fallen on a hardship. You'll also see that I've noted the Waves of Giving. I have attached that for your review. It is a promotion that we're doing for our Olive Branch program in the month of August, as we've mentioned before, just to restock and help with some food items for our pantry. For the month of July, total revenue for the month was $10,852. With the difference of expenditures, that gave us a difference of $64,433.40. So far this fiscal year, $8,084 was turned over to the clerk's office to be collected on payment agreements, and so far this fiscal year, $6,370 was not turned over to the clerk's office to be collected for payment agreements. And as of July, we currently supervise 12 individuals that were deemed indigent by the court, and that would be my report.
Any questions on the report? Motion to approve, Commissioner
Second.
Phillips. Second, Commissioner Sereno. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Report is approved. Did you have something on Waves of Giving?
I did. That Waves of Giving is something that we've put on our website and something that was created by Mackenzie Paterno that helped headline the Olive Branch. That's for you to have for your personal use or share with anybody that you would like to share it with in order to help boost us restocking that pantry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Correctional Work Center?
Afternoon. Included in your packet is our minutes for our board meeting from August 8th. Also, the work release program statistics, no significant changes there. Even though I do believe we did have some terminations, Commissioner P., some actual terminations. Next will be our yearly activity report. Population staying about the same. Total trash collected on county and state routes are as following. County roads, county trash collected 9,148 pounds, and in state routes, 502 bags were collected in the past month. Next is our monthly worker report, showing a total combined savings of $78,116 using inmate labor. And that is my report.
Any questions on the report?
Motion to approve the report, and I understood clearly what your terminations were.
Motion to approve, Commissioner P. Have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Rather. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The report is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Juvenile detention.
Good evening. You have in front of you our information for the month of July. Probably the only thing of interest is that I wanted to make it clear that $17,150 of the received year-to-date money was actually for last fiscal year, so that the current $13,125 that was paid in full was for this fiscal year. But besides that, if y'all have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Noticed it's quite interesting when we start a brand new year and these numbers are over here in this area over here on this far side, and gives you an idea of how it changes through the year. Any questions on this report?
Move to approve.
Motion been made to approve. Commissioner Gurley, have a second.
Second.
Have the second. Commissioner Phillips, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? The report is approved. Thank you. Number 7, Public Safety Director. Director Clark.
Evening, Chairman, Mayor, Committee. Provided in front of you is our emergency management report from July 18th to the 15th. I'd like to point out that our staff attended what was called Operation Catfish, what was located in Williamson County, and that tabletop was concerning power outage for our area and what we needed to do to prepare for a major electrical outage, which brought up some interesting scenarios. Also, we attended a tabletop with State Health along with EMS concerning receiving patients from out of state, such as we did with Hurricane Katrina, and did a tabletop there. Also, we provided a lecture in Chattanooga. Assistant Director Tim Hooker provided a lecture for the Tennessee Valley Electric Power Providers on incident command. And then also, just to kind of give you a note that EMS Director Brian Gaither and myself met with the new intern fire chief with Murfreesboro, and had a great meeting, and looking forward to working with Mark McCluskey in the future. Also note that our calls for service in our communication center is at 2,297. That's 911 calls. 2,004 of them were EMS related, and 293 of those were fire related. We do not have true data on our non-emergency lines. There's 4 of them. We've had some hiccups as far as trying to pull that data from our Vesta system, which is tied in with the emergency 911 district. We have hired a new dispatcher there that we were grateful to receive that position in this year's budget, and that person is well on their way in training. That's my report, and I'd entertain any questions.
Any questions anyone may have on this report? I do want to say that the fire marshal was out today checking radios. As I see in your report, it says it's ongoing. They're doing a good job.
Yes, sir. We've been in several schools. I like to report, and Brian Rowland's here tonight. We went through. He came back today and stated that we've been through all the Rockville schools and we didn't find any outages. However, we had some decline in reception, but everything is operational, and that was one of the ones that we wanted to make sure that that we had some reception. It's a big campus, so that was a good thing. And he can elaborate on the radio report.
Other questions?
Motion to approve the report.
Approved. Commissioner P., do we have a second? Second. Commissioner Rather, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Report is approved.
I've got a couple other items. One is an agreement for emergency support services by Box 100. We have put together an agreement for this 501(c) to provide rehab and support services for our emergency service personnel, for law enforcement, fire, and EMS for long-term events. And it would go through emergency management to get to that group, and was wanting permission for the mayor to execute this agreement.
The application is on your SharePoint, Commissioners.
I'm going to make a motion to allow them to apply for that grant.
It's for the agreement between Box 100 and
Box
and the
100.
county.
It's on there because I've read it today myself. Got it.
So this, Chairman,
Yes.
it's voluntary service that they're required to carry certain insurance liabilities, whatnot, and detailed reports to you.
Yes, sir. So in the agreement is that they have recommended training, which is incident command training, first aid, that kind of thing, in the event that they're on scene and somebody falls out in front of them. But the biggest part of it is providing rehab services to the authorities having jurisdiction. Basically, if the law enforcement is in charge, they follow their command. If fire's in charge, they follow their command. And also, same thing with EMS. They are required to have $1 million of liability, also automobile liability, and then also provide equipment coverage insurance in the event that we issued a radio or a pager or those kind of things. It's all laid out. This has been through Nick's office, the county attorney's office, and coming to you for approval.
Assuming that their funds come elsewhere. Because, or are they just strictly volunteers, they don't need funds or whatever?
Yes, sir.
Bottom line is, we're not paying, the citizens aren't paying a dime for this.
That is correct. So they do fundraisers. Traditionally, they have operated out of Laverne. However, we're looking to expand this program into the county unincorporated areas. In the event that Murfreesboro would call, they would provide mutual aid to them as well. But what we do is by this volunteer program, basically, we're providing back to our responders. So everything that comes in, water, Gatorade, all those kind of amenities, goes back to our employees. So hopefully we can save an OJI, heat-related injuries, things like that. They're a phenomenal group. I worked with them for years up in Laverne. They are an awesome group of people that just want to volunteer and help. It's our hopes that we can expand that service and reach out and assist them in providing promotional to help get more volunteers, because we do have a significant more calls than the city of Laverne does. So they would be very, very busy.
So the mayor signs this, correct?
That is correct.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the mayor signing this agreement.
Okay.
I'll second that, and would like to make a comment. You know, this to me is kind of a win-win, because we get the help of volunteers. You know, years ago, we were mostly volunteer, and we've gone more and more toward full-time professional people, as we should, a growing body, a county this size. But I've worked with Box 100. They've responded to some incidents back even when I was working out on the interstate, et cetera. And, you know, this is, we're not asking them to go into a burning building. they will have strict guidelines on what they do, and that's rehab. That's taking care of the fire, sheriff's deputy, paramedic that gets overcome by fatigue and heat, etc., or cold, and depending on the time of the year. And they provide that service out of the goodness of their hearts. And so I think this, I've read through this, it looks like you pretty well covered all the bases, where the last thing we want is a group showing up and becoming a problem in and of themselves. These people have got their act together, and there's a similar organization, I believe it's called Box 55 in Nashville, and so on. So either we've got to take this, provide this service, which we're doing right now, out of paid staff, or accept the volunteerism from a group like this. And I can see with the size this county is, the program expanding to the entire county, including all the municipalities. And I mean, that's the way it is in several counties. This is not a unique organization. There's similar organizations throughout the state. And so once again, I second the motion and hope it passes.
We've had the motion made to do this and had a second. Motion made by Commissioner Rather, second by Commissioner Gurley. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Motion passes.
The second thing that I have is, last month I came to you requesting to apply for an EMPG grant, which would provide fencing in front of our Emergency Operations Center. We have been requested that we provide a letter from our mayor to a letter of intent to apply for this grant. It's our request that we allow grant the mayor permission to write this letter of intent to the state of Tennessee to receive this money. However, there will be a contract to follow after the letter of intent. And we're requesting permission to allow the mayor to sign this letter.
I'll make that motion. I apologize for jumping the wrong tab
okay.
a while ago. But, yeah, I think we need to go ahead and allow the mayor to do this to get the ball rolling on it.
Thank you.
Commission's already voted on this, so.
To apply, yeah.
Have the motion made by Commissioner Pete to do this, and then seconded by Commissioner Phillips. Call the roll.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Chairman Reed?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And then last but not least, I have another grant. Our grant writer is very busy. We're requesting to apply for a hazardous material emergency preparedness grant for 2022-2023. This grant is an 80-20. We were requesting to buy hazmat training suits and additional hazmat simulator, which will provide us realistic training in a hazardous material environment without risking the lives or limb of our responders. So basically, this simulator will activate their monitors and give them that reaction that we're looking for in those hazardous materials. So if a level goes up, let's see what they're going to do. And so hopefully this becomes muscle memory for our responders in those hazardous material environments, which it is now, but this will boost our reaction and that's what this is for. The total grant is $30,747.03. We're requesting $6,149.41 for this grant.
Are you assured that you get the grant if you apply, Chris?
I'm pretty sure we will, if we'll apply.
I'm going to also make a motion to approve this grant and us providing the match of $6,000.
I second
That
that.
on the budget whenever budget meets again.
Motion made by Commissioner Pease, second by Commissioner Gurley. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I'd like to publicly thank our staff here at EMA for their hard work. They've gone through a lot. Ms. Carey has been busy on these grants, and she does a phenomenal job. There's not many things that she misses, and we appreciate your trust in us and with applying to these grants and receiving those funds and getting and distribute that equipment out. So thank you.
Thank you. Ambulance report?
Good evening. For the month of July, we did 3,308 911 calls, 41 transfers, response time of 7.6, 75 DOAs for the month. 28 of those went for autopsies. The collections was $648,324, which is a little lower than normal collections, but we had some issues with getting our Medicare, getting our licensing, our ambulance license, so they kind of held up some funding for a few days. So I think that'll equal back out for next month. The next page, some classes we had in-house and some special events and standbys. And then on the convalescent side, there's 395 calls. And collections, the same thing there, a little lower than normal at $88,030. And then the couple of awards and some good cardiac calls that were reported back from the hospital and some life flight reports, and that's my report.
I have one question. 7.6 response time is. You know that I'm a critic of anything over 7 minutes. Is any of that related to operational procedure still, or is that just we've gone up, we're bigger, they're running all the time, like I hear them going here, there, and yonder?
I think most of it is volume, and we are trying to dig down into the CAD system to give you a better report on those times. If MTSU is having to respond to Laverne, obviously that's going to affect it. And once that crisscrossing zone starts, it doesn't stop until the calls quit coming in. So I think that's part of it. I did find out a couple of weeks ago that one of the places we compare ourselves to surrounding us, their response time is greater than 8, and they're trying to get below 8, and they do it with 4 more ambulances than we have. So with that, taking that into consideration, 7.6 is not terrible.
Traffic have any?
It does. I mean, time of day, if you try to go from the Burton Street station out Old Fort Parkway between 3 and 5 in the afternoon, it's going to take a while. But I think once we get a better hold on what that CAD can give us, I think I can start reporting some more accurate response times or tell you why they were 7.6. We had so many calls that was over 15 minutes, and this is why.
Well, I know for a fact that I'm seeing more and more calls. A year or two ago, I heard a siren at my house. It was Smyrna Station 6 responding out from Station 6 out toward Amville Road on Morton. Now, I hear almost as many sirens. I look out the window, it's an EMS unit. There's something going on because of the growth. It's really picked up, so that means they're responding farther, and it's not always Station 6 ambulance. Sometimes it's somewhere, from somewhere else, so it means they've traveled a while. So I think we're, the growth, and that's not just, I'm just observing my area. Commissioner Reed probably observes the same thing, and as you get out in some of the more rural areas, it takes longer to get there and so on. And hopefully we get these buildings built and staffed and everything. We can cut down on both fire and the EMS response times. But I think y'all do a great job, and I know you're there if I need you.
Yeah, I think yesterday afternoon, I think we had 3 Murfreesboro units making calls in Smyrna. And I mean, that's Sunday afternoon.
Further discussion? Motion to approve the report?
So moved.
So moved. Have a second? Yeah, okay, got a yeah. All right. Commissioner Phillips makes the motion to approve. Commissioner Rather seconds that. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Before you step down, let me say something right here. Last Friday evening, I was at the Laverne Rockville football game, and where I was sitting beside me was a county commissioner from Marshall County. He was sitting there, and he hands me his phone, shows me, look at this. How do y'all handle this? He was at Chapel Hill, and somebody was writing him, telling him, it's really giving him a hard way to go. He said, we've had a young man that's been injured on the field, and we've waited for an ambulance 35 minutes. He said, how do y'all do this? I said, y'all don't have an ambulance there waiting? I said, I know you have one in Chapel Hill. Said he got a call, and it was out, so it wasn't there. So I started explaining how we do it here, and I said, you see that one sitting down there right now, and if you look right beside it, there is a fire and rescue who has medical capabilities also. So I was trying to explain to him, I said, well, come over here sometime and we'll show you how we do it over here. Well, it hadn't been too long in that game, we had a young man that was hit and he didn't get up. He wasn't moving or anything. So they motioned for the stretcher. Well, they worked on that young man a good bit of time, getting him for that stretcher. And they were doing other things too. All of a sudden I see one of your captain's trucks come in behind me. And he comes out there on the field talking the whole time. And back behind me another ambulance shows up. And they load him in that ambulance and he's gone. They have that ambulance still left there for the rest of the game to be played, which if that ambulance is not there, that game can't continue. So I look at him, I said, this is how it's done. So I did your group to train another county, and he's going to be over here to talk to you here one of these days.
We'll be happy to talk to him.
But, I hated it was at the expense of a situation happening there. But, it couldn't have been any better than book perfect in what y'all did that night and how this all went about and how your group at EMS and how we had our fire and rescue was there too, and how, it's just like clockwork and how it worked, and it impressed somebody else from another county. So just wanted to let you know.
Here, thank you.
So we always take opportunity to teach. All right, fire and rescue. He had a concussion, but he was doing okay. Due to their efforts and all, he's back to where he should be.
For the month of July, we had 629 calls. 5 of those were structure fires. We had 10 vehicle fires, 349 medical calls, 62 MVAs. 30 of those were with injuries, and 32 were without. Year to date, we've had 41 structure fires, 45 vehicle fires, 2,213 medical calls, and 425 MVAs that total for year to 198 with injuries and 226 without injuries. And we've also had 14 extrications. Next list is showing the countywide, including the volunteers run numbers. We've had 69 structure fires, 722 MVAs, and 17 extrications, for a total of 5,029 calls. Next sheet is what we turn into the codes department for structures that were damaged by fire. And of course, the next sheet is the fire investigation report. The next sheet is all of our apparatus. If you'll notice in the first column, it shows the unit number. Ticket spent shows the maintenance cost we've spent on that per vehicle, and then the fuel spent on that vehicle for the last year. The quantity of gallons of fuel we put in that vehicle, the starting mileage, and then the ending mileage, and then the cost per mile. What fuel costs us per mile, and then the year that truck was put in service. The Heavy Rescue 60 was purchased in 2015. That was one of the first vehicles we purchased, along with a tanker and a pumper, and that vehicle's already got 110,000 miles on it. 110 miles. That kind of gives you an idea of what it's costing to operate these vehicles. Of course, the cost of maintenance is preventive maintenance, cost of when the truck's down, and that also includes replacing tires. The next sheet is our illegal burn report. And then the last sheet is a graph that our Chris made, our EMA director, our public safety director, that he made starting back in 2008, 2010 when the fire department was created. It shows the rise in call volume up to 22. So it's been nothing but almost shooting straight up as far as call volume in the county. And that concludes my report.
Further report, any questions?
Move to approve the report, Mr. Chairman.
Motion approved. Commissioner Phillips.
Second.
Second. Commissioner Gurley. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Report is approved.
Also, I want to take the opportunity. I was going to do this last month, and Commissioner P asked about the radios in the schools, and I got sidetracked. But I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank Lascassas Volunteer Fire Department. One thing, back when the plane crashed down in Smyrna, they responded and brought water and drinks and food, and got a lot of food donated, and pretty much fed all the sheriff's office, sheriff deputies, EMS workers, and fire and rescue people during that whole event, and did a tremendous job. They've been very good about responding. Back in about 4 or 5 years ago, they had a service company that I had when I was there, and it just kind of just went to nothing. So I had a 2-door rescue truck I let them use, and they've been using that truck as a service company, plus they use it to respond to, we have a structure fire we had a heavy fire down in Smyrna on Libby Lane. It was about 110 degrees that day, and they responded and brought ice water and ice packs and stuff. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank them and appreciate them for being there when we need them. And that was a big help, and it helped save our guys from being dehydrated. And that's all I got.
Okay. Anything further? Radio system?
Chairman, Commissioners, we seem to have a little theme going tonight about pats on the back, and if directly related to what I'm going to talk about radios, I want to say the same thing. I'm incredibly proud of our teams through EMS and fire and the Sheriff's Office and our partners in safety with Rutherford County Schools coming together and talking about these things that we're working on and working together to achieve these collective goals. Not that we haven't been doing that before, but it was very individualistic. Each division was working toward those common goals, but now we're really sitting down at conference room tables together and have a shared voice in what we're trying to achieve. And this committee is part of that, but that leadership out in the public safety community is a big part of it too. So I'm very blessed to be a part of it. This is my home. I'm very passionate about it, and I'm just proud to be here. Relating that to the radio system, working in conjunction with the Fire Marshal's Office with Rutherford County Fire, and again with our partners in safety within the Rutherford County Schools, it is very much a work in progress, and we are visiting the campuses and going through them, every hallway, every nook, cranny, auditorium, cafeteria, kitchen, everywhere that we can get into and work. And the SROs at the Sheriff's Office are a big part of that. We've been working with them out there as well. We've covered our Christiana campuses and as you said, Commissioner, our Rockville campuses. We have seen no out-of-range issues with radios in the facilities. We have not encountered any areas that the radios are unable to use. There's some signal strength that we would love to have a little bit better. And we're going to work toward that collectively with schools and see about some improvements that can be made. The testing itself is, what we're doing is just a very, very quick assessment, windshield kind of assessment that we would do from the EMA perspective, using a system of what's called RSSI, which is Received Signal Strength Indicator. It's built into the radio. If you think about your cell phone and you get your bars of signal, well, the radio has those bars of signal, but there is also a mechanism in the radio, as Commissioner Gurley knows, where you can actually look at that in a number format. We're coverage-wise with the system itself from Motorola with our contract that we have, countywide coverage, we're looking at our target at being 95%. Well, that's outside area, that's outside world. So what we're doing is looking directly into those buildings, specifically the schools. It's very hard when they go around to do that assessment of county coverage to really, there's a formula they use for signal loss within structures based on structure type, what it's built out of, all that sort of stuff. But to really be able to target the individual buildings is what we're doing with that. So Chief Sanders and I have been going around and, like I said, walking around, and I'll take my radio to the Sheriff's Office net. He'll put his radio on the fire EMS net, and we'll compare different areas, cover each other, walk behind each other in another area just to see what the coverage is. So the next step of that type of testing would be a more involved process that we've spoke about previously here on this floor, where it uses a bit error rate kind of testing. And that would be something that would be a very in-depth process with a lot more sophisticated equipment. But Chief Sanders and I are pleased so far. He has some areas in his report, and as we continue to compile, we'll get a better report for you in totality. I'd prefer to do it that way instead of just pick pieces out as we go. We have some thresholds that we're trying to make sure that we can meet and we can maintain. But like I said, so far, we haven't seen anything where we're just not working, which is very encouraging, very good, and is a testament to the system that we've purchased. So if anyone had any questions? Yes, sir.
Mr. P.
I've heard you mention that you used your radio and Chief Sanders used his radio.
Yes.
Are you testing the schools' radios also? Because that's a concern to me that most of the schools have staff that are provided radios. Not all teachers have them, but I want to make sure that those radios are able to communicate too. So are you testing those?
So at this phase, no. This is specifically related through the fire marshal's office to the public safety radios. The school system's radios are licensed through the FCC for their own radio system. It is not our radio system, not our Motorola radio system. They have a multitude of makes and models, and it's holistic to them. So we listen to them and working through our partners in safety at Rutherford County Schools to try to guide, mentor, lead, offer anything we can to them, but ultimately that's their radio system. Those are their handhelds, their mobile that they have inside the school. They're their repeaters. Some of them I've even tried to look at in some of the schools, and I can't even get to them to even see what model the repeater is because it's somewhere in the ceiling that they're like, I think it's over there. So, but we're working through them. I know there's a new superintendent over there, and the safety office. We're collectively talking about how to get them those radios, their radios, in a better position. I think schools is prepared to do some things as they need to make that happen as well, but we're helping them out along that way with that. Commissioner?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment. Of course, most of you know that I have 3 schools behind my house. Well, Stewart's Creek Middle has a repeater on UHF. It's not on the 700 system. They have 700 radio. All the schools now have a 700 radio at the front desk. So if they have an emergency, they can call. SROs have a 700 radio. I think the principals have a 700 radio. But everybody in the school doesn't have a 700 meg digital trunked radio. Stewart's Creek Middle has a UHF repeater. Stewart's Creek High has a UHF repeater, and the majority of their day-to-day traffic is on those internal repeaters. Now, from what I've been able to ascertain in dealing with a couple of my principals back there, that comes out of their budget, apparently, because I got a call here a few months ago, well, can I buy this $50 Chinese radio? Because another one cost $200. And, you know, we told them no. But that's the mentality of, you know, because it's coming out of their budget, they're wanting the cheapest thing possible. And so those are things that eventually school's going to have to address. Can everyone have one of the 700 digital trunk radios? Maybe, but at a cost much higher than probably what the school's wanting to spend. You know, we have put the transportation system on that, so they've got communications with the transportation system, and so they're all on there. And for the first time probably in history, they don't have any dead spots in the county because they're running mobile radios. But there's putting everybody on the trunk system is something that had to be studied well, because you get into a loading thing and how much traffic you can tolerate on it, and is that really a public safety function?
And that comes into the FCC licensure of that, as you're aware.
Yeah,
so
most of those are
they
licensed on business
frequencies.
frequencies.
Safety, and it's really hard, those things.
And so they pretty well have been controlling that, and that's what they have. And I haven't seen so far any school going to fully spending the hundreds of thousands of dollars that it's going to take to put everybody over on the 700 system.
We've had some very encouraging conversations with our partners at Rutherford County Schools, and I'll let them speak for themselves for the most part, but they are aware of issues within their radio parts of the system, and we're trying to help them out the best way we can, and at the same time make sure that all of our guys can talk, and when we have these ambulance calls at a school or fire calls at a school, that we can get in there and that we penetrate on that public safety side. We're working together pretty tight on it and trying to help them out as much as possible with that. They've identified some problems on their own, and then we come in and go, well, yes, we're absolutely seeing that same problem for you. Here's some things I can offer for you to do to help clean it up. So they have, for instance, the principal themselves, and I may be speaking the wrong terms or whatever, but the Booster Club can buy off Amazon radios for the school. Here you are. Here's these radios we bought for you, and you have them programmed to put on your repeater at your school. And a lot of times we're getting exactly what you talk about, Chinese Bofang radios that are, they are what they are. And not to blast any make, model, or anything of radio. There's some ham radio operators that use Bofangs all day long, but they've over time and changes in leadership and each principal operates that community themselves within there. They've gotten all mixed, matched, and out of whack. So they have a mixed bag of analog radios and digital radios and who knows what radios, and we're trying to get them cleaned up and trying to help them better use the best equipment they have in the best way possible and maybe life cycle some of those old ones out. So they're working on it. They're working on it, and we're helping them out with it.
Commissioner Rather.
In the last meeting, I was really concerned about how much we talked about in public. I did a little research and found out that's so more difficult for us to stop that. Here's my question. The reality is, difference in radios between the schools and public safety, there's still a thing called a telephone that has the numbers 911 on it. So here's my thing. 911 gets called. Is it fair to say Rutherford County Public Safety will rain down on that school with everything they have?
I can speak for all of our disciplines, I think, when I say yes, sir, absolutely, emphatically, we will. But you do bring up a good point. So as we're doing this coverage testing and walking through and looking, randomly every now and then I get my cell phone out and you run into the same problems. So, it's hard to get a cell phone signal in some of those places as well. And speaking with the SROs there, they run into the same problems. They'll be all right when they're walking around in the hallway, but they'll go into their office and their cell phone will drop out. Radio works, but the cell phone will drop out. So, cell phone coverage is a whole nother topic and a whole nother thing, but there are some spots in there that are hard to get that too.
But they know where those spots are.
Absolutely.
It's like in my house, I know where I can go and lose reception.
Absolutely.
I know where I can go and gain it.
Yes,
So at the end of the day, there's going to be a phone call or something made, and public safety will rain down on that school.
Absolutely.
Other discussion? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Sheriff's Office report.
Good evening. As of this afternoon, we had 677 incarcerated at the Sheriff's Office. We're making progress on our hiring for our open positions. Dispatch has 8, and we have 5 in the hiring process. 5 positions open in patrol due to movement, promotions, and so forth. They're interviewing tomorrow. 8 SROs openings, 1 in the hiring process, 40 in detention, with 7 in the hiring process. That's in my report.
Questions on the report?
Some of those going through the hiring process, are some of them trained as it relates to not having experience, like going through the academy or those kinds of things? Are you experiencing any of that, or are you getting pretty much skilled folks already?
We're getting some unsecured, unskilled officers. For patrol, I can speak for patrol, we're interviewing certified or experienced officers for those.
So what we did back in the summer seems to be helping?
Yes, sir.
Other questions on the report? Motion moved to approve. Second, Commissioner P. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? I believe we have a grant.
Yes, sir. We're requesting to apply for the Tennessee Corrections Institute training grant. This is a no-match grant, and that is $10,000. They'll use it to buy training equipment and supplies.
Move to approve the application.
Second that.
Motion approved. Commissioner Rather. Second, Commissioner Gurley. Call the roll.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I believe we're going to talk about some ups and downs at the
Yes, sir.
jail.
Our staff elevator is on its last leg. It's unrepairable. We've been putting a lot of money into it to keep it up and running. We've got 2 bids, and they're both out of Sourcewell. Sourcewell is a agency that's like state contract. You don't have to bid it out. But it's going to cost us $240,320 to get it up and running. They'll remodelize it, overhaul it, and it'll be up and running again. This is very crucial because we do use this elevator if we have emergency stretchers going up and getting the inmates and so forth. So we're asking if we can get that money from unassigned fund balance.
I believe a lot of you have ridden on those elevators. You know what we're talking about here. So this is somewhat of an emergency is what we're looking at this evening. And you have copies of this, so we'll open up for questions, and then we'll let the mayor answer anything we may have on that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, a few years back, I hauled a lot of equipment up that elevator. It needed replacing then. That was probably 10 years ago.
Yes, sir.
And so I can't believe it's any better shape with 10 more years of wear than what it was at that particular point in time. So I think it's long since past the time of replacement. So with that being said, unless somebody else has comments, I will move to approve this.
The motion made to approve the request, and we have a second. I believe, Mayor, you want to explain how we are going to take care of this?
Yeah, absolutely. We talked to Michael Smith, our new finance director. He was able to justify an emergency expenditure like this. It is under Sourcewell. I believe, Steve, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
This company that we're dealing with, we did get another quote. Sourcewell is like government contract, so we're allowed to bid it, verified through Michael's office, and he did show us the information today, and it should be on your SharePoint to where we're allowed to make this emergency purchase, under Tennessee code. So we need to go ahead and get it fixed as quickly as possible.
We met this morning with the sheriff, and basically this elevator is down. It's not on its last leg. It's laying down and got the tombstone over it.
Yes, sir.
Here's the problem: is budget does not meet until October. Would be our next budget meeting, and you're talking about a situation here that's not good, and I would suggest that we go ahead and approve this. Now, we meet on the 30th, the new commission's sworn in, and then we meet on the 1st. The 1st is the first time that we would be able to bring it to the attention of the new commission, but we will not have a budget committee in place at that time, even if we wanted to review it. So what the mayor is suggesting, and I suggest also, is that we allow him to go ahead and expend this money in an emergency basis, which by law we can do. As Michael pointed out to us, he showed us the statutes this morning. This is an emergency, and distribute those funds from undesignated fund balance. Anyway, I suggest that's what we do, and that's what I would tell the full commission, but I feel better with this committee having seen it and telling the mayor, yes, we need to go ahead and do this. They've actually, he hadn't gone through all the struggles that they've had with this. They have tried and tried to keep this thing alive, and 1,000 recently. Replacement parts, they keep burning out. It's, you know, we're basically throwing good money after bad.
All right, further discussion? Please call for the vote.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. PAWS Report.
Good evening. For the month of July, we had 344 animals come into the shelter. We had a live release rate on our dogs of 95.3%, cats were 87.6%, and overall, when wildlife were included, of 89.5%. 126 of our animals went out through our free spay-neuter program. 31 cats went out through our TNR program. You can see that our officers completed out 1,346 calls, traveling 9,055 miles. Our report this month, the report on the statistics goes by fiscal year, so you only have the month of July. The rabies and bite exposure report goes by calendar year. You'll see there we had 37 bites for the month. 7 of those were tested, none came back positive. 1 other exposure, it was not tested. And then the last page of your report is the graph that I give you with the visual that shows the live release rate versus euthanasia rate and other outcomes. That's my report, sir.
Any questions on the report?
Move to approve.
Second.
Move to approve. Commissioner Phillips, second. Commissioner Sereno. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Report is approved.
Quick update on your hiring process.
Yes, sir. Right now, we are down 1 part-time kennel attendant. We're down 2 ACOs, and we do have the new veterinarian position that was given in this year's budget that's posted, but I anticipate that's going to be open for a while. Right now, our biggest concern is we've got so many new folks, and it's kind of clogging the system on getting those folks trained. So we've got about 8 folks that have a shadow with them just about all the time, trying to get those folks trained. So we have a little bit of backlog there. So the 2 ACO positions that are open right now is a little bit by design, just because I can't plug some more folks in the system right now until I get some folks out the other end. But it is for right now, yes, sir. So a lot better than where we were 4 or 5 months ago. So thank you for asking. Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. OSHA? Elam. Thank you, sir.
So your OSHA report for the month of July, you will see the incident frequency. We had a total of 11. For the calendar year incident frequency, there's 96. Total recordable 72. Restricted day claims 39. Lost day claims 11. And other recordables at 22. On the next page, you'll see the on-the-job injury claims for 2022 at 96, 2021 was 93, and 2020 was 82. Next slide, you'll see on-the-job injury incurred dollars. You'll see it for 2022 is $340,000 compared to 2021 at $378, and 2022 at $340. And then your cause of injuries, there was the Board of Education a total of 7, and County General there was a total of 4, and in the County General you had 3 at the Sheriff's Office and 1 at the Health Department. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions on the report?
It's another good report. Thank you. I move
Thank
to
you.
approve.
Second.
Motion been made to approve. Have a second? Commissioner P. All those in favor say aye.
Chairman, if I could have just a second, I want to thank this committee. I don't know how it's going to shape up next month, but it's been a pleasure reporting to y'all, and also working with Chairman Reed, and just want to thank you for your service and time. And I know Mr. Gurley, I want to thank you for your time also and your guidance in helping me with my job. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, sir. Any other business?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, 2 things. One is the Purple Heart that resolution was presented by Andrew Farrer.
Right.
So I just want to give him credit. I don't want to take the credit for that. I wished I could, but I can't.
You're correct on that. I just know you're up here doing so many good things with it. And the reason I said that, today I've been going back looking at what this committee has done in the past 4 years. And I want all of you at some time to go back and look at all the things that has been done within this committee over 4 years. And I think about the resolution you did concerning the young child that got killed on Halloween, and then how we come up and change that through your efforts on that there. And I think I got those 2 crossed in there. And that's nothing unusual when you do it. Look at so many we've done here. This committee was also instrumental in helping me get the Second Amendment sanctuary county started in here. We had 2,000 people want that to happen, and it started right here. We got all of that done right here through this committee. And then, look, we got 6 public safety buildings coming up in this county. And you think about how hard we all worked on that, and you all did every bit of that. And when I think back on what this committee, you're top notch in what you do. We got 2 I know for sure that won't be here. And I know Joe right here with his expertise and what he knows and where he's been, we'll miss him. Virgil comes from the same background and the things he's done, and every one of you have been instrumental in helping these departments across this county do what they do. You won't find a better group of public safety anywhere. We come up through a pandemic that you only read about. You go back to 1918, and then here we were, nobody knew. Nobody knew. But yet we come through that and we did some outstanding things. So, if I picked the wrong person doing something, it's due to the fact that you all were involved in what we had to do here. And every one of you deserve a pat on the back for what you do. I think you had one more thing.
More thing, if it's okay with you, I had a question. Commissioner P and I talked about it. He was going to ask the question, the elevator at the Sheriff's Office. My question was, all right, we've pulled the trigger. Are we a month out or 2 months out? And if so, what's the plan between now and then? So could we get Chief Spence back up here?
They have their answer.
Yes, sir. If you've been at the Sheriff's Office, we have 2 elevators in the visitation lobby. We've put a wall between those elevators and the visitation lobby to make it a secured area. And we've cut a hole between the visitation lobby elevators in detention. So we're using those for a backup. So we're able to use those. I can find out a time span on the repair for Schindler tomorrow, But that's our plan until it gets fixed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Anyone else? Mayor Phillips.
Okay.
Officer, I just wanted to follow up what you said, Chairman Reed, about the committee and the accomplishments, but a lot of those things would not have happened without the leadership you provided and your insistence on staying on top of things. And a lot of things need to be passed out, but one thing that needs to be passed out is your leadership is quite evident. And those things probably would not have happened to the magnitude that they did without your leadership. And I wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you, sir, but there's a gentleman standing right back here that without his knowledge and the things he's helped us with, I know a lot of mornings I'd get a phone call. He said, "What are you doing today?" He said, "Can I talk to you?" And I knew right then there was something getting ready we need to talk about. And the mayor has been totally involved in public safety. I would call him a public safety mayor if I had to say that, because I think he's done about as much as anyone has in a long time for public safety in this county. And I give him kudos to that. I really appreciate everything he's done in that and what we've done there. So every one of you have done an outstanding job. You've done so well, and but there's so much more to do when I think about it. Yeah, we're going to put an elevator out there. Y'all won't believe what I told the sheriff Friday. I said, I want to see a budget in the next 4 years that includes a helicopter. And you know, a lot of people will laugh at that. I'm not laughing. When you sit in the traffic that we're seeing out here, you see the things that we're involved in across this county and the things that are doing and the size of this county and what we have to involve in. And what I'm talking about there, I'm talking about a public safety situation overall. This could be involved in all the departments that we have here. And other counties are doing it, so we may be in that position too at some day. So appreciate you. Call the meeting adjourned.